You can't. But one of the things to get to them to do is to start questioning, why do we need a district to educate a child? And they'll sit there and they'll defend the school district and say, you know what a school district really is? It's nothing more than a McDonald's franchise. It's a franchise, like Walmart or McDonald's. You have about as much local control over your school district as you have over the menu at McDonald's. Now, yes, your town, if your town has some kind of fancy or Tony kind of regulations on what a business has to look like or how it can present itself. They might be in Lake Forest, where I grew up. They made McDonald's get rid of the not McDonald's. They made the Burger King people get rid of the Burger King lettering and the sign, but they're still a Burger King. Well, that was local control. Did Lake Forest have a chance to change the menu of Burger King or get them to offer better burgers? No. You can't control the menu on public education. That's controlled from above by the state school code and however dialed in they are to the federal government. So I've gone a little bit longer here than I wanted to, but I want to get you to, I want everyone to start questioning the concept of a school district, and here's why. There are 3 solutions that are starting to develop, and they're starting to develop rapidly. They're also happening at the same time that more and more people are getting angry about the existing system. So we're in this nice transition phase where if we keep up the pressure, we're going to be able to see a lot of change. One of them, and this is perfect for managed dismantlement, and I wish I got on the plane and I had all this camera equipment and all this stuff with me, so I didn't have a chance to bring these briefs, but if you leave me your name and put your emails down or give me your cards, I will send you a copy of this. It's a brief that Heartland just put out. It's called The Parent Trigger. And shock of shocks, this is actually law in, of all places, California. If 50% of the parents in a failing school in the state of California, failing identified by the state code, defined by the state code as to what's failing, if 50% of the parents sign a petition, they can undergo one of 4 change models, 2 of which are school closure and converting the school to a charter. When we found out about this, and this is a perfect example of how the Heartland Institute discovers, develops, and then promotes good ideas that solve some of our problems. When we found out about the Parent Trigger, we're like, we've been on top of the school reform thing since 1984. Why didn't we hear about this? Well, here's why. It wasn't invented by a conservative right-wing think tank or a libertarian think tank. It was invented by some liberal guys in LA who understood finally, what I call the honest left, understood finally that there wasn't enough money to educate children, that the existing system was as corrupt as the right's been saying it is, and we're all of a sudden starting to get allies. And the Parent Trigger was a liberal idea. And it allows parents to flip a school. I'll get to questions in just a second, ma'am. Sure. The one is school closure, and this is all in the brief, and we explain what's good and bad about it, and you're going to like it. As a matter of fact, if I can, I think I have it on my flash drive, and I'll try and get some copies made for you and get them to you before the conference is over. One of them is convert to a charter, one of them is closure, and then the other 2 are the caveats that we all know would be in there, and that is called transformation and turnaround. Does that say 10 on it? 10? Okay. I wonder if the next people will be as nice to me as I was to them. Go ahead. Yes, and I just want to say the other 2 are very bad. Here's the other big solution that's coming down the pike, technology. We are able to deliver content so much more efficiently than a massive network of districts and brick and mortar schools. I suggest going to the site Khan Academy, KHAN academy.org. No, this is a guy who converted a walk-in closet into a studio. He's now produced thousands of 10-minute videos that take you through all kinds of content. It's a homeschooler's dream. And the homeschool movement has been one of the groups driving virtual education.
What was the website?
Khan, KHAN academy.org. Yeah, and I did that too, but it's KHAN, Khan. Yeah, and there's another site, mindbites.com. And that's one of the, so the technology and education. I just turned this on yesterday. I'm kind of a latecomer, but this is my fancy new Sprint Evo. I wanted to get this because everybody else I know has iPhones, and you got YouTube and everything else on here, Facebook. You could literally teach a child to read at an early age, teach them a few different things that are going on, give them one of these, and give them a couple of different places to get content, and they could literally educate themselves by this or an iPad or by a personal computer without the entire edifice that we have built for this brick and mortar system, this district system that we have. So we've got converting their infrastructure to our infrastructure through the parent trigger. We've got distance learning and virtual education, and being able to be delivered over the wires. And then the next thing is that as the greater and greater, as it starts dawning on people that this system is no longer affordable, we're also going to start understanding something else. And there's some people at this conference that have a Thomas Jefferson Liberty, whatever, something about mentoring. And that is that every single one of us are teachers. And this goes along with kind of like the whole concept of charter schools, independent schooling. And I think if I were to lay something out, I would think that this is how this is all going to end. Sooner or later, sometime in the next 2 to 4 years, we're going to see a breakthrough somewhere in education reform. Some state, some city is going to do something dramatic. I'll give you an example of how that's already started, and it shouldn't. I have to be careful because it sounds like I'm happy there was a hurricane, and I'm not happy there was a hurricane in New Orleans. But a hurricane came in and wiped out the entire city. Next thing you know, they used that opportunity to say, wait a minute, we have an entirely different kind of school system. We have our schools are gone. They're underwater. They've been underwater. They've been heavily damaged. We need to do something very rapid. And all of a sudden, 70 charter schools, money following the child of those charter schools. And right now, New Orleans is seeing educational improvement happen so rapidly it's not even funny. So what's going to happen is we're going to see over the next few years a few more of those breakthroughs. And as those breakthroughs develop, we're going to start seeing more and more schools shift over. I'll give you an example. Here's something else to think about. It's a mixture of technology and charter schools. It's called Rocket Ship Academies, and they're out of Silicon Valley and San Jose. And what they do is it's something very simple. Instead of a school that needs 5 teachers to do this one specific thing, they use 4 teachers and then technology academies and distance learning. And all of a sudden they're able to provide the same amount of content with one less teacher. And you got to get comfortable saying some of this stuff, folks, because what's going to happen is some folks are going to come up to you and they're going to say, well, you're talking about much less employment. We just laid off 135,000 teachers. And it's time for all of us to start saying this isn't about the teachers, this isn't about the administrators, this isn't about pensions, this isn't about how much money we can dump into a gigantic bureaucratic black box and then wonder why our kids aren't getting educated. This is time to connect the money following the child. And the third thing, parent trigger, managed dismantlement. Technology and virtual learning is the second thing. And then the next thing is you have to start, as you start dismantling districts, as you start pulling infrastructure out of their districts and charterizing it, you have to also start saying, oh, why don't we just do this? Why don't we just divide up the money that this school or this district gets? We'll divide it up by the number of children in that district, and we'll start having the money follow the child. And we are at the cusp of once again being able to aggressively push school choice and vouchers. And I'd love to get into various political dynamics as to why this is all ready to start happening. But I'd rather take some of your questions in the few minutes we have remaining, and see if I can answer some of them that way. But this is ready to happen. So it's open up for questions now.
I have a friend who's a second grade teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She's been an IT person for the school system in our city, and she's been with the system long enough to understand the whole system. And she's come up with a concept. She calls it classroom co-op. It's using, and she got the idea from a little school in Harlem,
Mm-hmm.
where they had limited space, and yet they had to serve a lot of kids, and they were doing a very good job. And she's taken 3 classrooms. She got the school system to agree to do this on trial basis 3 years ago. It's the 3rd year, highly successful, still hasn't gone any further than her school.
Mm-hmm.
3 classrooms, one is traditional, one is technology, and one is interactive.
Okay.
They take the 3 classes, they stay with their homeroom teacher, but they alternate one subject, they learn in all 3 different class environments.
Mm-hmm.
So it appeals to kids with different learning.
Absolutely.
And it saves 2/3 of the money that they spend on the equipment and the books
And
and supplies.
Here's the main solution to that, and this is what you have to start doing. You have to start promoting this idea to her, and you have to start promoting to everybody else that she needs to duplicate that concept, kind of like KIPP Charters did. She needs to move that concept as fast as she can through the process. And then one of the key points that we also have to start doing, and this goes back to what I said about political pressure, we have to start pressurizing the existing system. So while she's probably not up to this, and she might be up to this, it's very tough for teachers to do. They have to start saying, I have this system. It works. Here's the project. Here's the demonstration of this project. I need to duplicate and multiply and expand this, and we need to use resources from the existing system that's failing to start putting in more things like this. And as she challenges them, one of two things are going to happen. They're going to ignore her and say, I mean, there was a teacher who turned around reading in Rockford, and they fired her for it. Okay? So she may get herself in trouble. The minute she gets herself in trouble, she has to become one of the rebels. And she has to start joining the an increasingly aggressive education reform movement to start driving this change faster. For those of you who did see the Chris Christie, the recent Chris Christie thing that was just on TV yesterday, or I just saw it on YouTube, what's amazing about it, and this is why we can start winning this, he's not taking any prisoners. Politicians, I know of a very, very smart libertarian politician in Illinois who sat there and told me once, he's like, well, I don't think I can win without union support. And I told him, I don't have time for you. If you won't challenge these people, you're not any good to us. There's no way to, you don't go to a lion and say, I'd like to negotiate with you and see how fast you want to eat me. Or you don't go to you don't go to somebody who wants to kill you and say, I'd like to negotiate the terms upon which I'm going to allow you to kill me. Okay? You have no choice. You have to beat them, and that's the position we're in right now. We have to defeat them. That's all we have to do. And then once they're defeated, once they're flat on their backs and they're losing elections, and you have more and more politicians like Chris Christie, then we can maybe sit there and talk to them after our education system is safe from their control. But by that time, they won't really be doing it anymore. 1 or 2 more questions, because we got other people in here that want to get in.
Did you say you're going to have a briefing on text or something for it?
I will. What I'll do is they've got the video, and we're going to have a YouTube of this just on the Heartland site. But I can maybe get you a copy of it. But the expo is going to have that, and then the parent trigger brief. I can make sure everybody gets it. Parent trigger is a really cool concept, and the California version is not the best law you'd want to have, but it's such a fantastic concept that it's something to tout. But the thing is that we're already starting to go to other states and having them do tweaks of the parent trigger that don't include the 2 bureaucratic models, but actually do include money following the child to different schools in a district. So we're slowly but surely starting to break these folks down, and the reason I keep on bringing up Chris Christie is because all those people that say, oh, we can't take them on anymore, all you have to do now is point to him and say he's doing it and he's winning.